Gre- Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leaders Without podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, my new good friend, Trish from beautiful Winnipeg, Manitoba. We're almost neighbors from Toronto to Manitoba to Winnipeg. You can almost see it on a beautiful sunny day. So, Trish, it's good to have you here with us. And I see that you're doing some great things. You're empowering people. The thing that really you're passionate about is you mentioned is a quote that you mentioned, that really a beautiful quote. It says, "True power comes through empowering others." So that's something we're going to be talking about. So welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Let's do this thing.
Same thing. So first of all, for people that don't know you, who's Trish? You can start from wherever you want.
Wow. Yeah, that's a question. I can tell you what the word around the office is. Don't give Trish coffee. But Trish's energy's off the charts already. Don't give that girl coffee, right? Yeah. So who's Trish? I'm from Nova Scotia originally. Have lived in 5 of our 10 beautiful provinces in Canada. IT consultant for the majority of my career. I helped launch the first ISP in Canada and took that public. Yeah. And I think it's super funny. I used to we used to do a session every Wednesday night, try to convince people email would be a good idea someday. And they all thought we were crazy.
You know what would have been awesome? Would have been awesome if you had recorded those, because they would have been golden right now.
Right?
I don't know if you follow I don't know if you follow the crypto world, but those would be perfect for NFTs. They would be selling for killing right now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was awesome. They probably are recording somewhere. I don't know. I'd have to check with some of my previous cohorts, but yeah, so I've been in IT for a long time. And, I love high performance teams. That's a big passion of mine. That was my first exposure to a high performance team. And, after that, I was like, expecting that that's where I was going to get everywhere I went. And when I didn't, I was kind of surprised. And then I decided, well, if I can't find one, I'll just create one, and kind of went off and built 6 of them actually. So I've been very blessed in my career. And, I'm a mom. I got 2 fantastic kids, one who's in Australia, one here in Winnipeg.
Wow.
My husband has traveled all over the country with me as I've kind of, as we hop from province to province. So that's Trish in a quick little nutshell.
So that's, as I said, one thing that what my podcast says is it's like 2 friends having a conversation over coffee. You mentioned something that's, I'm very curious. You mentioned you lived in 10 provinces in Canada. So I have lived myself in 3 provinces, in Ontario, in Quebec, and in Alberta. So far, which has been so far your favorite, and why? Your favorite province?
Ooh, you know what? I have to say BC. My Winnipeg counterparts will probably be like, what? But the thing with BC is, I mean, first and foremost, I'm an ocean girl. So that's the big thing, right? I mean, coming from Nova Scotia, growing up near the ocean, having it like just there, it's super important to be near the ocean for me. So BC gave me that. We lived on the island. But the food, I mean, it's all about the food, right? Like, so what can I say?
Oh yeah.
No, you know what? If I'm doing seafood, I'm doing it on the East Coast, to be honest.
Yes.
Now there is some good seafood in the West, but it depends on what you're eating.
Yeah, those lobsters from Halifax. Those lobsters from Halifax are legendary. I haven't been there, but it's high on my list. Oh yeah.
And the scallops, right? Like, yes, way better on the East Coast than the West Coast. But if you're doing salmon, you're gonna want to do West Coast. So yeah, but the food out West is just spectacular. The super organic, clean lifestyle, and BC is very suited to that. So I have to say that. But in terms of people, I'd have to say the prairies are very, they're very welcoming and very friendly and very down to earth, much more Nova Scotia kind of culture for me, which is great. So yeah, I love different places for different reasons. Actually, it's really interesting.
So I guess the people from Toronto would be almost aliens, eh?
I've been there a lot, and I have a lot of friends there, but I haven't lived there. So yeah.
No, I loved it. As I said, I loved it. I lived in Edmonton. I was working in the oil field. Sometimes we're staying in a small towns, like way up in the boonies. And one time I was living in Slave Lake, like just almost by the Arctic. What do you call it? The pole line. Absolutely amazing. The people incredible. Just the neighbors. The first day we moved there, the neighbors come knock on the door just to see, hey, you come guys, tell us what do you need, come have dinner with us. I mean, absolutely blown away.
That's Nova Scotia. Like you couldn't go to a bar and sit by yourself for 15 minutes.
Oh yeah.
It just wouldn't happen.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's awesome.
Exactly. Let me ask you some fun question because I want to keep this fun. You know, when we grew up, uh, when we say under 10, people always ask us, so what do you want to become when you're older? So when you were, let's say, in primary school or middle school, when your parents, your friends, your school, your teacher were asking, so Trish, what do you want to become when you grow up? What was your answer back then?
I don't think I had one. I really don't. Like, you know, there was things that I love to do. I honestly don't think I had one. Like I just, and even when I got to high school and the guidance counselors are like, what are you going to do? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, you know, and it's a good thing that I didn't think that I knew, because, you know, the path that I ended up on was freaking phenomenal and I wouldn't have traded it for the world. But yeah, I don't remember. If I
Okay.
had something, I honestly don't remember.
What was your favorite topic and subject in school?
Oh, well, you know what? I loved English. I'm a writer, right? So I have a book
Mm.
and I love to write. So writing's a big thing for me. So English, and I love to read. I mean, I consume books by like
Oh yeah.
by the gallon. So,
Yeah.
so I would say English to some degree. And then, you know, I probably enjoyed political science, not for the political
Mm,
part of it, but just for the strategic part of it. You know what I mean? Like it was, so I think those would have been my two favorite.
that's awesome. Wow, cool. So tell us about what you're doing currently. What's your business? What field are you involved in?
Yes. So, and I'm so excited and I'm just launching. So like
Wow,
this is just new days, right? So
awesome.
I've been noodling on this for quite a while. I'm at the point in my career where I really do want to give back. You know, I've had a blessed career. I've had amazing leaders. I've built 6 high performance teams, which, you know, interestingly enough is just, it's unusual. Like I didn't realize how unusual it is to have high performance capabilities in an organization. So,
Hmm.
so I really feel like that's knowledge and experience and capability that I want to be able to share with others. So what I do is I'm an energy integration coach. So this is a little off the beaten path, right? So how the reason
That's
that I'm going
interesting.
down this particular road, yeah. So the reason I'm going down this particular road, I'm an intuitive and empath. I'm also a shaman, actually, in addition to working in IT. So I kind of have my foot in, you know, both worlds. I live in the woo woo, but I also live right, you know, smack dab in practical, tactical, corporate. But this energy integration coaching thing is around helping leaders to tap into energy as a capability to be able to develop their teams. And when I say that, this is super tactical. So even though it sounds like it's woo-woo, it is not. Our intuitive capability to read energy is instinctual. Like some people have turned off listening to their intuition, but you and I got on this podcast. We met online, right, in a forum, and I liked your energy and you liked my energy before we even had a conversation. You and I got on here and we're on a Zoom conversation. What, 15 minutes ago we started. That's our first face to face. And it was an immediate like, okay. So there's an energy there where we immediately like each other. There's other people that you immediately dislike or don't trust and you're not sure why. So that's the energetic information that I want to help leaders tap into. And the reason why this is so important is I have lived my entire career using energetic information to drive where I focus my energy and my attention and my activities and how I focus on my teams and the work that I do, driven purely by energetic information. So if I have an inbox of 200 emails, right, I can scan that and know which ones have to be dealt with right now energetically. I
Wow.
can tap into my team in the morning and kind of go, okay, where's my team at right now? And if I get any kind of a sense or a hit around that isn't like, oh, everything's okay, I start digging, right? When I start my day, I was gonna say get to the office, but I'm working from home still, right? So when I start my day, I'll start digging, I'll start asking questions, I'll start reaching out to people, and sure enough, I'll find something that, you know, my intuitive hit or my energetic hit was bang on. So it's like, but it's also two-way, right? So for example, as leaders, we can create so much positivity in our culture for our team that when you have people who are just steeped in negativity and victim mentality, if they choose not to step out of that, they become so uncomfortable, they would literally choose to leave on their own, right? You don't even have to ask them to go. They will just be like, this is just not fun for me, and I'm out. And I've seen it happen over and over and over again. So as a leader, how can we have any more powerful capability than being able to tap into, the energetic health of a project, an idea, opportunities, partners we're talking to, our team, like that is powerful stuff. So it's giving a capability to people that is beyond what they're using now to really step up and be able to, back to my, my passion, true power comes from empowering others.
That's awesome. I was talking earlier this morning with another lady with a beautiful heart in Singapore. She was organizing just 2 weeks ago an 8-hour sing-a-thon charity event for raising money for helping the families affected by COVID in India. And I was chatting with the organizer of this event, and she said something very similar to what you just mentioned, that everything is like energy. The like-minded energy are just like gravitate towards each other, or like magnetically attracted. And she said that nothing happens for a reason. Everybody that we meet is for a reason. The universe knows when to put and bring the right people at the right time in our path. And that's so true, because again, just like you said, there's some people that our vibration, our energy do not resonate with, and we do not connect with. But others, even if we do not know each other, like for example, just to mention, you and me, up to yesterday, we didn't even know each other, that we existed. But because my message on that Facebook group resonated with you, we connected, and now we just talked about. That's absolutely amazing. My question is, how did you get involved into that?
Well, you know what? The funny thing is, I didn't actually get involved in it. I've been doing this since I was a kid. So,
Wow.
Here's the thing. Intuition is an inherent gift. We all have it, right? There's lots of science out there on it. I'm not the expert in that. I'm not going to pretend to be the expert in that. As a general proposition, though, what happens is we start to be conditioned as children not to pay attention to our intuition, right? So we will say something like, I don't feel comfortable around that person. And, the parents go, oh, don't be rude, and, go play with them anyway, or go spend time with them anyway, or
Sorry
whatever.
to interrupt you. You just mentioned something very powerful that you said. When we're a kid, we're being told to repress our intuition. That's such a pity. I would say almost it's a criminal act that completely, limits the growth of someone, because our intuition is probably our most important, power within that we have. It's such a waste. Yeah, such a waste.
It is devastating, and it's, so much of it is based on societal norms, right? Like,
Yes.
I remember, being at a cell phone store with my daughter, and there was a man there who was inebriated, and my daughter said to me, Mom, I don't feel good in my belly, like I don't want to be here. And I'm like, let's go. Like, let's go, right? So, but that's because as a kid, regardless of what other people told me, because I've always been a bit of a rebel, right? So,
Me too.
or a big rebel. So regardless of what people told me, I actually didn't care, right? If they told me I was crazy for telling them what about my intuitive information that was coming to me, I didn't actually care if they told me that I was crazy. So I kept doing it anyway. And what that did is it built that muscle for me. So I've never not had it. I've never not used it. And it took me a while to realize that that was the case, because how would I know that everybody wasn't doing the same thing? And so when I really started to look at because here's the thing, I don't have a university education, right? I fell into that internet job, and it was like, why would I go back to university when I'm on the bleeding edge of technology here?
Exactly.
Like, I'm not going to learn more there than I'm learning right here, boots on the ground, right? So I don't have a university education. So, so when I was looking at how much success I was having in my career, I worked Fortune 500 for a couple of years. It was like, what is that? Like, why, right? And so when I really started to break it apart, what I saw was that my ability to read the energy at all times was what created that success for me. Because if I'm in a boardroom and I can tell who at the table is on side and who isn't, and who's completely disengaged, right? That's powerful information.
Oh,
Yeah, it
big
is.
time.
So it's like, why would we not all want to have this skill? So as you said, our intuition is inherent. I'm not giving anybody a gift they don't have. All I'm helping them to do is remember it and refine it and build it as a superpower that they can use for good, right?
There's a lot of superpowers that we naturally gifted with that society tells us to suppress them. it's there's so many more things that we can get into, but I won't because it's going to be way beyond the scope of this podcast. Like for example, our third eye, for example, right here,
Yep.
telepathy. That's
Yep.
something I'm extremely passionate about, but that's going to be maybe for another conversation. But yeah, and one thing that I've personally experienced is that over the past year, especially since this pandemic has started, I've been having a spiritual awakening. Like I've been
Mhm.
very interested into the spiritual part and aspect and all that. And as a result of that, one thing I've learned is that I've learned to listen to my intuition more and more, especially as I go over the years. You know, that's something that I wish I'd started doing way younger. I would have avoided making some of the stupid mistakes and decisions I've made when I was younger. But I mean, as I said, and as you mentioned, it's almost criminal to tell the kids not to follow their intuition, because intuition is probably our most precious, our most powerful, natural gift. It's almost like if you had a Ferrari, but you were told, no, you can only drive it for like no more than say 50 kilometers an hour.
Right. It's totally, that's exactly
That
it.
defeats the purpose, that defeats the purpose.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, but yeah, that's incredible. But
Well, you know what? On that telepathy thing, this is interesting, heading down that little
oh
woo-woo path
yes,
for a second. What gift do you think is going to be developed by the generation of COVID, right? Who are not allowed to engage with their friends?
good
Of
question.
course, it's going to be. Of course, it's going to be telepathy, right? We've taken away the ability to hug. We've taken away the ability for them to play with each other. We've taken them away the ability for them to communicate through anything other than this kind of mechanism. Do you not think that from an evolutionary perspective that'll be the next thing to emerge?
That
Right?
would
That's fun to
be
think about.
that would be beautiful if yeah, that would be a blessing in disguise. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, I mean, you know what? Just chucking theories out there. Who knows?
no, that's for sure. That's very important. And again, the power of intuition. I mean, once you can master that and use it for your own, I think it's one of the what 10 major principles that even Napoleon Hill in his
Mhm.
blockbuster Think and Grow Rich mentions, that the power of intuition.
Yeah.
The most important conversation we have every day, all day, is within ourselves. And instead of having that little voice in our head undermine and say, "Oh, you're no good, you're worth nothing," turn that, make it positive, and also learn to listen to it. Listen to your intuition. Just like you said, you go somewhere in a meeting room, listen to your gut feeling, listen to the energy. Try to take a deep breath, relax, and see what kind of energy you can sense around you. That alone is going to set the tone for, you will know right off the bat whether that's going to be a successful meeting, negotiation, whatever you're up to.
Yep.
But yeah, so I wish that's something that we could get more involved. I mean, even at the school, but that's a different story, because just like you mentioned, not having a university degree, but that doesn't stop you from being successful in life. That's, don't get me started, because university, the entire education system, not just in Canada, because listen, I've lived in 10 countries on 4 continents. Especially, that's a problem, especially in the Western countries. I grew up in France. I went to school in Canada, and I did work for a few years in China as a football coach, and also I taught in university over there to doctors and nurses. But in those countries, the education is completely different than here. Over there, I mean, maybe not in China, but in France, it was much
Yep.
more practical. It's not like here. By the time you're done with university here, the information that you were taught is completely obsolete. And that's what I tell to my younger nephews and cousins. They say, listen, only go to university if you're dead set on either becoming a doctor, a lawyer, a financial advisor, something that you need actual credentials for. If you're only
Yeah.
gonna goof around and spend 4 years, in business administration of basket weaving, whatever, don't waste your time. Actually, real example. A few years ago, one of my younger cousins, just after he finished high school, he came up to me. At the time, I was working in the oil fields in Edmonton, and I told him, listen, what do you want to do? Do you want to become a doctor, lawyer, financial advisor? He said, no. And I said, listen, in that case, go get a trade. Now the guy is like 24, 25. He went into a trade school. He learned welding. Now he's making well over 6 figure. He just bought his own condo in downtown Toronto. I mean, there's no way in hell that he would have been able to do that if he had attended university By now
Yeah.
it's probably going to be, flipping burgers or working at Starbucks, something like that. I mean, there's no, it doesn't make any
With
sense.
massive debt. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
no, the education system needs to be completely revamped. It's completely obsolete. Another thing, me as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you can relate to that. One of the things I tell people, and that's one of the major problem with the Western, at least in Canada and the US. While I was living in Asia, especially in Hong Kong and Thailand, I met a lot of Australians. You know what Australians do? That's something I love. As soon as even the British, as soon as they finish high school, instead of going straight to university, they take 1 year of traveling around, a gap year. That's something
Yep.
absolutely vital, not just for the person, but also for when you're 18, you have no idea what you want to do. You have no life experience. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
if it were up to me, I would even raise that bar to 25. Go get some real life experience up till until you're 25. By then, you have a much better idea of what kind of person you are, what do you want to do, what do you want to become, and don't just follow what people tell you. Hey, you need to go into this. No, because that's not you; it's them. So that's something that I would love to see. Like, for example, a gap year, something that kids fresh out of high school go travel, go see the world. If you have entrepreneurial inclining, instead of getting yourself into debt, like nowadays tuition are crazy, like $10,000 per semester. Take that, half of that, go travel for a year.
Yeah.
That $10,000, it can allow you to travel for a year if you're careful. And even take half of that, start a business, learn some valuable high income skills, whether it's copywriting, whether it's website developing, e-commerce, whatever. By the time you're done, even if your business doesn't succeed, you will have an asset that will be unfitly better than anything that you could do, if that's gonna even trump anything you can do, even at a major MBA school, because you have actual real world experiences.
And you know what, for me, it was as much learning what I didn't want to do as it was knowing what I did want to do.
Oh,
Because I honest to
absolutely.
God didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew was I didn't want to be a waitress. Right. I do not want to be a waitress. So you have these experiences that tell you very clearly what you don't want, which can help push you in a direction of figuring out what you do want. So it's as much, but all of that. And we used to take our kids on vacation. We take them out of school for 2 weeks or
Yeah.
whatever else. And, the teachers would be like, oh, they can't miss 2 weeks. Yeah, they can. They're going to
Yeah.
go experience another culture somewhere. Like, that's way more important than whatever it is you're going to be teaching for these 2 weeks. Like, come on. So yeah, we did that with our kids all the time. Yeah,
That's
for
the
sure.
ultimate way to teach our kids, for the people that are able and can afford it. Instead of them sitting and let's say they want to learn about history, about 2 hours of, or even a week, a year of boring lectures, take them on a trip to Egypt or
Right.
to Greece or
Italy.
Rome, on the ground, see it,
Yeah.
feel it, smell it, taste it. That's something
Yeah.
that you will never forget. It's not going to be just you trying to cram for an exam, and once exam is done, you completely forget it. No, when you go to, let's say you're in Rome or Mexico, whatever, you see it, you feel it, the experiences, you will never forget
Yeah.
that. No one's gonna be able to take that away from you. That's gonna be probably the best, one of the biggest gift as a parent that we can give to our kids. Actual real life
Absolutely.
experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah, wow, that's a lot of things. Yeah. So let me ask you something. I don't know. I mean, there's so much we can talk about. I mean,
Right.
we can be on for hours and hours. We can do an entire podcast series just between me and you talking about all the things.
We'll be like a
Uh,
clubhouse room all by ourselves, right?
I know. So you mentioned that the quote that you mentioned was very powerful. You said, "True power comes through empowering others." Tell me how
Mhm.
you're doing that in your business.
Yeah, well, and I mean, so here's the thing. This came to me many years ago. So my general leadership style was, okay, people, we're getting on to the bus. If you can hang on, great. If you can't, later. Right. That was my typical leadership style. It was like, get her done, move it out, type A, blah, blah, blah. And that was how I went forward. And I was working with SmartForce at the time, which was at the time the number one e-learning company of the world. Subsequently has
Wow.
been taken over by Skillsoft. Right. So I was working for SmartForce, and a very good friend of mine, hi Catherine, if you happen to hear this someday, a very good friend of mine, Catherine, called me and she said,
You
Trish,
can send that
you're
to
taking,
Catherine.
right? I will.
Hi, Catherine.
Hi Catherine. She's in Australia.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
so she says, Trish, you're taking on a new leadership role, because I'd been promoted to a director position, and she said, I had a global team, so I had team members all over the world, And she said, you need to choose how you're going to show up as a leader. And she gave me that quote, right? It's the Dennis Waitley quote, true power comes from empowering others.
Wow.
And it was like the switch just went on in my brain. And I was like, bing, you know, and it just, I don't know, it just clicked for me. Like it just totally clicked for me. And what I didn't realize at the time, I don't even know that we had the language for it at that time, but it is a servant leadership model, right? Where I genuinely want other people's success more than my own,
Wow,
right?
that's
Genuinely.
beautiful.
Like, yeah. So it's, you know, when you can get to that space, when you can put your ego on the back burner, and it's not about, you know, you climbing the corporate ladder, but about the team and, you know, the team, basically what I do as a leader and how I show up as a leader is I see the 10 in people and then I hold them to that 10, right? They don't even
Wow.
see it most of the time, right? So I see the gifts in them and I help to really build the gifts and support those capabilities. And where they're not as strong, well, we find somebody else who has that gift and we bring that in. And so it's like I'm a maestro, right? Like in terms of how I develop these teams, these high performance teams, because I'm constantly looking for energetically, where's the strengths, where's the challenges, where do we have a gap, where do we need to fill, right? And I'm constantly monitoring this. So what this is what I do with this program that I'm launching for leaders, is to really help them to tap into, you know, how do you know when there's the gap there? How do you see the 10? How do you build the 10? How do you use these energetic tools to get information to help inform what you do day to day as a leader, right? This informs, if all of a sudden I wake up in the morning and somebody's name keeps popping into my head, I'm giving them a call.
Yes.
I'm giving them a check-in call today because there's something there. I don't know what it is yet, but I know there's something there. I don't ignore those signs. I'm aware and I pay attention and I act on them, right? So when I consciously choose to tap into projects in my team, but if a person's name pops in, I'm calling them. I don't care where they are. I hate hierarchy. Like some of my people
Absolutely.
call me boss just to be, you know, smart asses, right? They're like, boss, but I like, dude, we're a team. We are a team. Like I'm not above you. I'm only above you outside of the team, right? You know, when it's necessary.
Beautiful.
So you're not in the team. So yeah, so I'll check in on the team, but I don't care where they are. You know, it could be anybody on my team anywhere. And so as much as it's the energetic skills, it's really helping leaders to step off of that ego, right? Because that ego is not going to serve you in terms of creating this. My mission is super simple. I want to heal our corporate workplaces one leader at a time.
Wow.
Because that ripple effect is massive. If we have people who can actually show up every day, loving their work, giving 110% because they don't want to let the team down. They don't want to let the team down. You cannot create accountability for another person. They have to choose it, right? That's a personal choice. So how do you create an environment where they're choosing that? How do you create an environment where you have transparency and trust that is so implicit that nobody questions anybody else and they feel safe, right? That's what I'm teaching leaders how to do.
That's amazing. That's amazing. One thing that I want, you know, I just saw that you're also an author. You just, you're the author of the Question Journey. Tell us more about that book.
Yes, that's a super fun one. And you know what? That's also a great tool. It's a great tool for anybody. Like that one. And I even have teens that love this book, right? So this book is here's a so that's the
Oh, it's a
book. But
big one. Wow.
yeah, well, and you know what? It's not a book you read. It's not a book you read. It's a book you do. Okay. So
Oh,
like when you
wow.
open it up, yeah, it's got like beautiful artwork and questions on the page and you can mark all over them and write all over them. So, you know, this one, do you have regrets, right? What are they? What would you change if you could? You know, and it's just, you know, sit with the question and let it do what it does, right? So the whole idea is we often create what I call NTA, or noise to avoid, right? We create constant drama and noise in our lives so that we don't actually have to get quiet. Because when we get quiet is when stuff starts coming up and we don't want to deal with
Yes.
that, right? So we just create more drama, more drama, more. Well, you know, this book is for anyone. It's great for people who are in major life changes during COVID right now. What better time to get quiet and really delve into
Exactly.
healing, right? Healing yourself. This is a healing tool. Many times we have traumas and past experiences that these questions can help bring forward, and you need to release. You know, if you're holding on to that emotion, it is not good long term. I can tell you for sure. I was diagnosed in 98 and told I had 7 years to live. And 100% I will tell you that it was me constantly keeping stuff
Stress.
inside and not
Yeah.
dealing with it. right? So the book really facilitates your ability to bring these things forward and allow the emotion out, right? If it makes you cry, cry. If it makes you laugh, laugh. Whatever it is, just allow it to release. Don't keep holding it in the body, because you can pay an actual physical price for that if you're not careful, right? So, and for leaders, personal development, hello. that is, I hate to break it to you, but you're not a leader because you have the title.
No,
You're
for
a
sure.
leader because you choose to be in a space of holding space for others, right? And
Yes.
you only get that when people choose to follow you, not when they report to you, right? So that personal development, and always being in a state of personal development, is essential to great leadership.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So it's basically getting back in touch with our inner strength, inner soul, and all that, our inner strength, which is intuition and all that. Speaking of intuition, do you, because that's something I'm very passionate about, do you have any tips or any system that can help people to get more to get back more in touch with their intuition? Because all our lives we're told, don't listen to your intuition, be nice, be polite, and all that, and repress all that. So do you have any tips or any system for people to get back in touch? Just like a muscle needs to be, regular workout to be strengthened. Do you have anything for people to suggest so they can get back, not only get back, but also learn to use that tremendous tool to help them and their personal lives and their business and their whatever areas that they want to?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, and I mean, you and I met on the Brains Facebook page, right? So I just published an article there on the
Mhm.
top 5 steps for your intuition. Well, I'll share a couple of them here, and I'll share it. First of all, though, I want to share a pro tip on this, right? So this isn't in the article, but the pro tip is this. And you mentioned this earlier. You said, let's reframe from the negative self-talk to the positive self-talk. And here's
Mhm.
what I've learned over many years is that the negative self-talk is never intuition. Never. That is your ego. Okay.
Ah.
Negative self-talk is your ego trying to keep you small, trying to keep you exactly where you are, right? That is ego. Intuition, if when you get a message, it feels light and expansive and like it supports you or others in a positive way, that's intuition. If when you get the message, you feel like a pile of crap and you just, start moving into, avoidance or even depression, like those messages, that is ego. So there is a very clear difference in terms of how you feel when you get the message that differentiates between intuition and ego. Okay. So that's the first thing. That's a pro tip. That's not in the article. But in the article, what you'll see is there is 5 steps there. The first one is to be open and aware, right? And again, this goes back to that NTA thing that I talked about, the noise to avoid. If you're creating so much chaos in your life and you're just go all the time, right? Then you're not being aware. You're not being
Mhm.
aware. You're not taking that moment to just take half a step back, just take a breath. What am I doing right now? Right? What am I doing right now? How are you in this moment right now in this conversation? Are you with
Yeah.
me? Are you
Mhm.
not with me? Right? You got to be aware. You got to take that moment to be aware. Being open. If you don't even believe it's possible, well, you're not open. Right? So that's not going to really help you much, right? If you're one of these people who like wants all the scientific information, there's tons of it out there. If you want to spend all your time trying to justify that it's scientifically based, you're just trying to avoid. Let's be real,
Yeah.
right? There
Mhm.
is scientific information. It does exist. It isn't special just for certain people. Intuition is inherent for everybody. It is literally a sixth sense. Okay. It is. And here's the thing. The same way that you use your taste, your sense of taste to interpret flavors, or your sense of hearing to interpret sound, you use intuition to interpret energetic information. Right? That is that is what that sixth sense is doing, right? It's not woo-woo, it's not out there, it is legit. So if you want the information, there's lots of it out there. If you're going to spend all your time trying to convince yourself that it's not true because you can't find the right scientific information, you're avoiding. So either get in or get off, right? But if you're in, you need to be open. So be open, be aware. And then that's like the first piece of it, right? Then the next piece is that you really want to, what I do is I build a relationship with my intuition as if it's a person. right? As if it's a person that I want to have a fantastic relationship with. Think about how you would treat somebody that you really want to have a fantastic long-term relationship with, right? When they give you information, are you going to ignore it, or are you going to at
No.
least honor it? Doesn't even mean that I need to act on it, but at least I need to acknowledge that it was given to me and I need to honor it, right? So I literally either in my mind or sometimes out loud, I'll say, oh, okay, my ear's ringing. That's usually an indicator that there's a message for me, right? So sometimes my ears will ring and I will stop whatever I'm doing, even if I'm sitting at my desk, and I'll say, okay, what message do you have for me? And then I'll just take a breath and just be quiet for a minute and just see what information comes in, right? A name or a project or something that keeps repeating in my head, right? And I'll just pay attention. So when I do that, I'll go, hey, that's awesome. Thank you so much, right? No different than I would with an individual. This builds that muscle, right? Where you're honoring the message. And sometimes thinking of it as something outside of yourself is easier than thinking of it as yourself, because then you get into that negative self-talk thing, right? So oftentimes I'll tell people, just pretend it's a different person and create that relationship, right?
That's amazing. Wow. I will have to rewatch that myself because you just dropped an amazing value bomb. So in terms of would there's something that a lot of people are recommending, which is meditation. How do you think meditation play? Do you think how big of a role does meditation play with getting back in touch with our own inner self and our soul and our the intuition?
For me, I love to meditate. If you're not an Insight Timer user, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's a fantastic app. It's free. Thousands of
What is
amazing
it called? Sorry?
meditations. Insight Timer. It's an app you can get on your phone. Insight Timer. Yeah.
Insight Timer. Okay.
So it's got tons of meditations on there. But I think for me, regardless of whether you like a really guided meditation or you just sit quietly or even journaling, like meditation is many, many things. It isn't just about, let's put on a meditation app and sit and do nothing. Like I can be out sitting by the water and be in meditative state. So meditation, very much like yoga, right? Even just sitting with a smile on my face can be a meditation. So, it's whatever it is for a person. However, what it does is it allows you to do exactly what we've been talking about, which is getting quiet.
Wow.
Right? Just getting quiet. Even if it's a guided meditation, if you're paying attention to it and you don't get lost along the way, like 15 million times, which takes practice. It does. Like not everybody's going to be able to stay in it every time, right? The more that you do that, the more you can focus and stay focused on the guided meditation, if that's what you're doing, then the better off you are. So what I try to tell people is think of your thoughts. Look at them like you're a third person, right? So, oh, there's the thought. Oh, cool. Right? And just let it go by. Like don't buy into the thought. Don't follow the trail, which takes you back to an old conversation that already happened, or takes you to a future event that hasn't happened, which is going to take you into worry. So you're either stressing on it or you're worrying on it, like one way or the other, right? As soon as you follow the thread of the thought, well, you're sucked into the present, the future or the past. You're not here now, right? Because here now, there's nothing but this moment right now. So don't chase the thought. Sit back as a third person. Imagine this as a thought and just kind of watch it go by and let it go, right? Just don't buy into it. So in meditation, there's lots of ways that we can get to that space of being quiet and allowing the mind to really focus. And that's what I see as the benefit of meditation. Not only that, but depending on the guided meditation, who's guiding it, oftentimes you can get really amazing messages that will come through. And again, that's a great way to build that intuitive muscle for sure. Huge fan of meditation. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's something that I personally need to get into myself. I've been meaning to do it for a long time, but for some reason, I will definitely get into that. You know what you mentioned about just following the thought, not trying to get distracted by it. Reminds me in a way of a technique, a basic technique of NLP. When there's something that's bothering you, you just try to minimize it and give it a voice of a cartoon so that you can just minimize it and see. If, for example, let's say you have a boss or whatever that you can't handle, or you can't take it anymore. You just try to minimize them almost as they were like a small little dot, and then the voice turn it into your favorite cartoon character. So
I love it.
that boring or ugly whatever boss becomes like Donald Duck or whatever, or Mickey Mouse, and when you do that, it's impossible for you to get sad or upset because it's just
Funny.
funny, but also it's non-important, non
Yeah.
and that's the whole point, because what you're really worrying about is basically meaningless.
Yeah.
It's absolutely inconsequential. It's there's no reason for you to make, as we say in as I'm French, like as we say in French, we make a mountain of a small little mouse,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
so that's exactly it. That's a problem that we all do. So that's very powerful. Thank you for that. So I definitely need to get into meditation. Okay, that's awesome. um there's so much that I need. That's why I love these podcasts, because I connect with amazing people. I learn a lot. And they say that you need to go to university, but I believe that real education happens outside of school, not just through business, but also through traveling, but also through connecting just with good old human beings. Because it doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, it doesn't matter if you're selling furniture, hot dogs, ice cream, or coaching. At the end of the day, you're dealing with people. You're in a business
Yeah.
people. And if they
Yeah.
cannot relate with you, connect with you, there's not going to be any good outcome, no sales or whatever you're trying to do. So yeah, that's very powerful. That's amazing.
Was it Bob Dylan that said everyone's got to serve somebody, right? And we all do. We all have to serve. So why not choose to be in service, right?
Yeah. Also, Zig Ziglar said something like that. Try to solve a problem for a lot of people, and then when you do that, I mean, I'm killing the quote, but something along those lines. Try to solve as many, try to help as many people with whatever problem they have, and you will have no problem. All your
Yeah.
problems will be solved as well. Not only just
Yeah.
not just the money, but most important in terms of fulfillment, feeling being in. That's one thing that a lot of people struggle with, especially in the Western world, and that's the first world a problem, is that a lack of meaning. We set goals, reach that goal, and we say, okay, is it all there is to it? You want to buy that
Mhm.
big house, that beautiful yacht, or car, or shiny watch, whatever. Once you have it, just like any toy, after a week or two you just get tired of it. That's this the ultimate chase is a chase of meaning, and that's why I'm so passionate about building businesses with a purpose, with a heart, because it's not no more just about you and just about you. It's about because me and you and most people listening to this, we're blessed that we don't have to worry about what I'm gonna eat tonight, where I'm gonna
Mhm.
sleep tomorrow or tonight,
Yeah.
because we're blessed. That's already been taken care of. And now that we have this blessing, I feel that we have a tremendous opportunity and duty and responsibility to help,
Yeah.
because the world needs that. And not any single one individual can change the world, but let's say me and you, whatever, in our small little circle of influence, if you can. The whole point of me doing these podcasts is not only to bring and showcase, enlighten entrepreneurs, talk about what they're passionate about, but also to inspire other entrepreneurs to do good. For example, let's say me and you were talking, you tell your story, and someone watches that, and that inspires just one person to do good, and they went on to inspire another person, and so on and so forth. Before long, we've created an entire legion of
Right.
leaders with a heart. That's
Love
my
it.
ultimate vision with this. I don't
We'll
see
do
this just
Pinky in the
as
Brain. We're
sorry.
going to take over the world. I said, we'll do Pinky in the Brain. We're going to take over the world.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And that's. I don't think anyone will have any objection with that kind of takeover. It's not a
Yeah,
hostile takeover.
exactly. It's not a hostile takeover. It's a heart-based takeover. I love it.
Yeah, there might be some casualties, but not the type of casualty that we see in the movies and the news. It's going to be a positive casualty.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Let me ask you a fun question. Let's say, first of all, do you have a podcast?
I don't. No,
Why
I love being
not?
a guest. Well, I love being a guest.
All right.
I love you guys have great questions and it's super fun just to show up and hang out and just do this. It's awesome.
I know. I'll share something after this call, a tip with you that can really help you with your business. But let's say you had a podcast, and let's say you're a very successful podcaster, and today you have the ultimate, the most amazing, the most special person in the world for you, yourself as a guest. What would be the first question you would ask yourself, and why?
Oh, wow. I think the question I would ask myself is, what would be the biggest lesson that I've learned?
Mm,
Yeah.
And what
And now I
what
suppose
was
do
what
you
has
want me to
been
answer it or just tell you why?
yeah, oh, of course. So what has been the biggest lesson? And that's a perfect segue to what I want to ask next. But let me first hear what has been the biggest lesson you've learned so far.
Uh, the sooner in your life, like I think when we're teenagers, kids and teenagers, right? We often look at our parents like they're God, like they can do no wrong, like they know everything. And I think we lose a lot of power in that, right? Like, and especially if we're not supported in questioning, right? If when we question, we're shut down, which often happens in society in general, even in some of the school systems, like questioning everything. I know what I had a teacher one time tell me my daughter was she was doing really well, but she can be a bit disruptive because she questions everything. And I went home and I went,
That's
yes,
amazing. That's the best skill
right,
ever.
best skill ever. So so I think the big thing is, and the reason I go there is this: my biggest lesson is that I need to understand who I am and stand in the truth of my power,
Wonderful.
right? I am not here to be my parents. I am not here to be other people. I am not here to make society happy. I am here to be me and to stand in the fullness of what that is. And the sooner that people can really understand that who they are is beautiful and amazing, the sooner they can stand in the fullness of the truth of that, the sooner that they will shine. That will be the biggest lesson.
And that's wonderful. That comes back in a circle to what you mentioned earlier. You know, it's all about us getting back with our inner world and getting back connecting with our intuition, because the sooner you get that, the sooner you will know not only the right answers, but also you will be, just like you said, be who you really are, who you're really meant to be. So it's
Yeah.
wonderful. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now another fun question. Let's say you were blessed and you add a time machine. You can go back
Time
to
machine. Yep.
and you can meet yourself when you were 18. What would be the number one tip you would give yourself, knowing all you know now, to you when you're 18?
The jocks are not where it's at.
Mm,
And here's what I mean by that. Okay. In high school, if you were the jock or the cool kid, right, then you were accepted. And
yes.
everybody else was not, right? I was not. I was not a jock and I was not a cool kid, right? So I was very much ostracized. And there's many people who are ostracized for many reasons, like whatever the reasons are, and there's a million of them out there.
Yeah.
But in high school, it's like we keep looking to the jocks and going, I want to be that person, right? Believing that that's what success looks like. And it's a pile of crap. It's a total pile of crap. Great. I have nothing against the jocks. I married one, right? I have nothing against the jocks. However, that like segregated system of cool kids and not cool kids is a big freaking problem in our
Mm-hmm.
society, right?
Yes.
So, so if I was, talking to my 18-year-old self, it would be, nah, don't worry about that crap. You just haven't found your niche yet, right? So I found my niche when I went into business. And when I was in business, I was like, oh, that's what it feels like to dominate your arena, right? Whether you're an artist, like, I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do. You have a gift where you will dominate in your arena. And it is not about the sports. If you're one of those, fair enough. If you're not, right? And even now, oftentimes when we would go to parties and stuff with people we grew up with like years ago, oh, I used to love high school. I hated freaking high school. I hated it. Like, it was a nightmare for me. It was not fun. I'm sorry, but my life gets better every day. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to go back to high school, right?
Yeah.
Like the Glory Days song by Bruce Springsteen, right? It's like, no, I don't want to go back to that nonsense. Are you kidding me right now? So, but those people who were reliving those glory days, because after, if they weren't one of the lucky ones who ended up in the NHL or the NFL or wherever else, what are they doing now? Right? And some of them might
Yeah.
be successful. I'm not saying they're not. What I'm saying is that we are built in that high school environment to believe that that's what success looks like, and is fundamentally untrue. That is one version of success, but we need to stop that segregation. That's crazy. So yeah, if I was talking to my 18-year-old self, that'd be the conversation.
That's amazing. Wow. Yeah, that's definitely an illusion that they try to tattoo to sell you, that they need to be cool. But, I saw a funny picture. It's almost like a meme that says, in high school, the nerds were in high school now, and the cool guys, now the cool guys are working for the nerds. And there was a picture of Bill
Right?
Gates and Zuckerberg and all that. All the nerds in high school were
Yeah.
completely ignored. Now they're the ones signing the checks and giving the jobs for all these cool kids. So
Right.
it's
So
it's
let's
okay to
just
be.
change that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And it's about not judging at all. Could we not get there? That'd be fantastic. Let's just go to a non-judgment place, right? Where we don't have, we can
You,
just all treat each other like human beings. I know it's a leap, but geez, can we not just get there?
the central and recurring theme of our conversation is that one thing: learn to listen to your intuition, so that you know what you're meant to be, what is really good for you. And the soonest we can realize that, I mean, the better you're gonna save yourself so much, not only time, but stress, tears, worries, whatever, just because you know where to go. Don't listen to
Yeah.
what you're supposed to do by society,
Right.
because it's not their life, it's your life.
Exactly. Live it.
So
Be it. Be
that's
amazing.
amazing. Another question I have for you is, what has been the most impactful lesson you've learned over the past year that has had the biggest impact not only in your business but in your life over the past year?
Oh, you know what? I would say, yeah, I mean, it's gonna come back to listening to the intuition. It really is, because, so I have the question journey, right? And that's a certain kind of audience. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, anybody can read the book, and there's value in it for anybody, and fair enough, but it's more on the spiritual personal development side. And then I have this other work that I do, and we're not going to get into that in detail here, but it's a component of where this ended up, which is, what I call the rock star skills, right? So it's 10 skills that I identified that differentiates those people who dominate in their arena versus everyone else. Okay. And so I had these two very different things, and I knew that I wanted to give back, but I was trying to figure out, like, I didn't want to build two brands, right? I didn't want to do that. And so I just kind of, but I couldn't see how they could come together, right? Like, so I just kind of sat with it, and I just let go. And I just let go of it. And I just said, you know what? Show me how I can be in service. Show me how I can be
That's
in service.
wonderful.
And I just asked that question. And I am not joking. The whole concept for the energy integration coach like came to me like that, right? And it makes perfect sense, because I've been an energy practitioner for my whole life, right? So that's it, it's not like it's out of alignment. And it also allows me to integrate both pieces, right?
Wow.
So now I can integrate the rockstar skills, which is totally corporate. I can integrate the question journey piece, which is personal development, which leaders need anyway. And it's no longer a function of having to figure out, and build two completely different audiences in two completely different markets, right? Like it's now an integrated piece, and it's aligned with who I am, right? Because I'm not the ooh zen hold space woo woo kind of energy, right? I'm rock star energy. That's what I am. I'm a corporate rock star.
Love it.
So
Love it.
yeah, so it really it was listening, but it was also asking, right? How can I be in service? That was the
Hmm.
question that I asked, and I asked it over and over and over again. I journaled it on in the new year, right before COVID hit. That new year, I was sitting on a beach in Mexico, and it's in my journal. New Year's
Nice.
resolution, which I don't even really do. How can I be in service? Right. And just continuing to ask that question and listening to what came in when it came in, and talking to people, right? Having conversations, because other people are very intuitive when they allow themselves to be. And they will share information with me, blinders, like things I'm not seeing about myself that I need to see in order to be able to step into the work. Right. So if we could do it ourselves, well, guess what? We wouldn't need the rest of humanity, right?
Absolutely. Wow, that's so true. That's so true. I mean, I'm just loving this. We can be talking for hours and hours, but wow, that's amazing.
All right.
Cool. There's so much we can cover about you, your book, what you're doing, your energy work, and all that. We could do an entire three series just on you alone.
I'm in. Let's do it. Yeah,
And I really
super
love what you
fun.
said, that it's all about how can I be of service to you. That's so powerful. That's so powerful. And I can see that. And yeah, that can be the driving force of, if you use that as your driving force, that's gonna really not only surprise everyone. I mean, surprise in a positive way, because nobody else is doing that, and that's gonna give you an unfair advantage in your business, in your relationship, and everything. So the natural question that comes is, why is not more people doing that?
Well, they are. Look at you. Are you
Yes,
not
but
showing up in service? You're 100% showing up in service.
yes,
That's
I mean,
exactly what you're doing,
yes, we're seeing
right?
now more and more, more and more people being awakened to that. But I wish there would be. So right now, maybe I don't know. I'm just guessing. Probably like 10% of the world population is using that principle. Why not
Yeah.
50? I mean, the ultimate would be 100%. And even at if we were to reach 40%, then the entire world would be different.
Well, I think COVID was a trigger for the entire world being different, right?
Hmm.
And I think we're going to see more and more of this emerge. Uh, like 2 years ago, before COVID hit, I wasn't thinking about, you know, starting this business. Like it wasn't even in my awareness, right? So,
Yes.
so I think that there's, COVID, people, like 15 years ago, I started doing webinars, and
Wow.
I was too far ahead of my time, right? I was just too far ahead of my time. So, so it went nowhere. Now it's commonplace because we were forced into it, right? So now it's an accepted capability that opens up a whole world for people. And people are stepping into that space, which is amazing, right? So, so it's just really, I think that COVID was, as horrible as it is, I think there are a lot of really amazing things. We see more creativity, we see more community, we see more opportunities. And when I say creativity, I mean this, like people being creative about using the tools that are now available to them to connect with other people, right? So, and things that they're doing in the community, things that they're reframing their business, like it's phenomenal. I love watching these stories. Like it just totally, I'm like, wow, that is so freaking cool, right? So I think COVID was a big
Yes.
trigger. And I think, no different than the work I'm doing. The reason that I'm stepping into this work, here's my big why, right? My mission. I want to heal these corporate workplaces one leader at a time. Here's the why. I've known, because I've worked in corporate my entire career, that the majority of leaders are terrible. They're terrible, right?
Very true.
COVID shone a great big spotlight on that. Many leaders lost massive, massive respect, and possibly even their jobs, because they could not mobilize and they could not pull their teams through that crisis. Poor leadership is no longer an option. It's no
Well,
longer an option.
you're totally right. A lot of you said it. A lot of leaders in the corporate world are not really real leaders, and I mean, we can very easily say the same thing about politicians. Let's not get into that,
I'm
because
not going to get into that conversation.
especially here in Canada, you know what I mean. I
Right?
don't know about you, but after living 5 years abroad, I came back here. I do not recognize this country anymore. But that's another topic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
do.
yeah. So wow. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So
And
I
there
just
are great leaders. So I don't want to pretend like there's not.
yes,
There are. I've
absolutely.
had them myself. 100% they are. And what we need to do is have more of those, right? All I want is, I just want people who go to a corporate job to love what they do and to want to go to work and to want to be their 10. And
So,
that's possible, but it's a leadership responsibility to create that space.
and in order for people, just to add to what you're saying, in order for people to feel passionate about what they're doing, they probably need to have a cause attached to that, a reason, a purpose, not just going just to make a paycheck, because a paycheck is you're just going through the motion.
A good leader is going to provide a vision,
Hmm.
right? A good leader is going to help them to see their path, whether it's their path to growth, whether it's the path to team accomplishments and moving things forward. Like a good leader provides a vision, and everyone buys into that vision. Or it's just the team themselves, right? Not wanting that team to fail and wanting to see that team be successful and wanting to play your part in that, right? That's what a leader can do. So it doesn't even have to be necessarily a grandiose. That's great if you have it, but if you don't, you can create it, right? This is our team. We are going to succeed together, right? We're going to fall together. We're going to succeed together, but we are going to be together, right? And we're going to trust each other and care about each other. And I know that leaders are all like, oh, it's all about the numbers, blah, blah. dude, I hate to tell you, your number's going to go through the roof if you end up with employees like that. Look at
Oh,
Richard Branson.
absolutely.
Isn't that what he says? Take care of your employees and it takes care of everything else,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
100%. Yeah, you will see the results. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I had um, a guest on one of my early podcasts, a guy I met when I was working, living in Hong Kong, is an e-commerce field. Very young guy from the US, 24, 25. He went after finishing high school, university. He went straight to Manila in the Philippines to build a business around e-commerce. And the one thing that really allowed him and his company to really grow was that, whatever was the going rate for employees, they would pay not only double that, but also, and at first I would say, are you stupid? You're just bleeding money. I said, no, I'm investing in my people. Our greatest assets are our people. When you treat
Yeah,
your employees like that, like family, or for example, sometime, let's say they're giving birth or they have a problem issue, don't worry. You need 1 week, take 2 weeks. You get back whenever you come without cutting their benefits, whatever. When you do that to someone, they will never leave you. They
that's
will,
right.
so to speak, even take a bullet for you, so to speak. You know what
Yep.
I mean?
100%. 100%.
Even
I
if you were
have
to
people who
offer
work for
them,
me. Yep.
even if you
20
were to
years ago.
offer
And
them,
they say, yeah, they would
even
go,
if you were to
sorry,
offer
we had a
them,
delay there. Go ahead.
even if you were to offer them, someone would offer them double the money, they would not take it because of
No.
that relationship, that something that's way beyond that cannot be bought or purchased.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, totally. I have 5 team members that say to me from the years ago that they're like, you're the only leader I would come back and work for again. Right. So, and not just, again, that's not because I'm the only great leader. It's because there's just so few of them out there. Like we just need more of that. Right. Show the world what a great leader looks like so that people can see the example and then they can be the change. Right. 100%. Your staff aren't going to leave if you create that. If they love what they do and they love why they're doing it and they love who they're doing it with, you're golden. You are golden.
Just a matter of treating people with respect and as human being, just like the golden rule, treat people the way you
Yeah.
want to be treated. And when you do that, you will have an unfair advantage in business and life and anything you do, that nobody can touch you. That's so true. Wow,
And you know
that's
what? I'm gonna spin your golden rule. I believe that it's not treat other people how I want to be treated. I believe it's treat other people how they want to be treated.
that's wonderful.
Right. And the reason I say that is I'm like a low maintenance girl. Like I don't need a lot. Right. I don't need any ego stroking. Like that was
Hmm.
way years ago in my career. Right. And yet other people might. Right. They might need that validation to continue to support them. So I need to see how they want to be treated. And that's what I need to step into. I need to meet them where they're at. So just a
Wow,
little spin.
that's a beautiful spin. You can add as many of those spins as you want. Go on. You have the mic. The mic is yours.
You're awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but seriously, wow. I just love this conversation with amazing people, not only successful, most importantly, beautiful heart. This is what I call this, leaders with a heart, because I can see, even though it's the first conversation we're having, I can see that you, Trish, you're a real, true leader with a heart. So if someone wants to, I mean, we can keep on talking for hours and hours, but for the sake of, just keeping it, I'm not yet Joe Rogan. I cannot afford to do like a 3-hour show. Maybe when I get to millions, maybe I'll do that. But for now, we'll just
Right.
keep it to maybe we can do a second part in a few months or whatever. But yeah, so if someone wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to connect with you, Trish?
Yeah, you can connect with me at trishbishop.com. And if you're interested in the book, you can go to thequestionjourney.com. So either one of those, and I'm Question Journey pretty much everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, you name it. I'm all over the place. So the Question
Okay,
Journey, and trishbishop.com.
awesome. And if you had a parting tip for anyone that's to try to get in touch with their inner self and intuition, any parting tips?
Yeah, the parting tip that I would say is just trust. Just
Wow,
be open and trust. If you get the message, act on the message, because when you do that and then you see the result and the result validates the message, that builds trust,
trust your
right?
intuition. Yes.
Trust it, act on it, and just little tiny things, right? Like it could be, geez, where'd I leave the freaking keys? And then a little message comes in your head and you go there and right? Like just even little things, right? trust. When the message comes, act on it, see the results, and that builds the trust. Right? Just like your point about building the muscle, like going to the gym, right? Follow it so that you can build that trust.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wow. As I said, Trish, you're a true leader with a heart, with a beautiful heart. Uh, I salute you and wish you the best with everything. Have a wonderful evening, and it was amazing connecting with you. Absolute honor. We'll definitely keep in touch. Probably gonna do like a follow up in a few months, in a year or so, to see you know how things have evolved for you and all that. So yeah. So thank you very much for
I
that.
love
Thank you for
it.
your time.
Thank you so much. It was so great to connect with you, and this has
Pleasure.
been awesome. Yeah,
Take care.
great
Thank
time.
you. Take care. Ciao.
Okay.